Hello, everyone. This is criminal profiler Pat Brown. And on this video, I want to talk about what I've been hearing on the internet and what I've been seeing on the news channels, on all the different networks. I keep saying in comments under different videos concerning the Idaho Student Murders, I keep seeing people saying, oh, it's just like Ted Bundy. And other people are saying, oh, it's just like Danny Rowland. And not only regular folks are saying this, but experts are saying this. They're going on major news channels and they are saying, oh, it's like Ted Bundy. Oh, it's like Danny Rowland. No, it's not. It's absolutely not. One of these is not like the others. It's not. And I wish people would stop saying that, especially the experts. Stop saying that unless you're going to explain very clearly how it's the same. Not just that somebody went in and killed some girls. That does not make it the same. It makes it the tiny similarity, but that's about it. So let me explain how different the Idaho student murders are from the crimes of these two guys. Right up front, I can tell you this. These two guys are serial killers. Ted Bundy killed over 2 dozen, and he killed, as far as women went, he killed 5. And he had 2 males as collateral damage. So he didn't have as long a career as did Ted Bundy. But both of them, serial killers. When they killed women, they included a thing called sex. They committed sexual homicides. They liked raping. They did indeed. They liked torturing. They were both sadists. And brutal, but not just in the action of killing, but in everything that came before the actual deaths of their victims. So brutal, sadistic serial killers who committed rape or sexual assault prior to the actual murder, and sometimes after the murder. Okay, this crime, as far as we know, no sexual assaults here. That is very different from this, okay? Very, very different. Because somebody came in here and apparently stabbed 4 people to death while they were sleeping or theoretically while they were sleeping, and did not sexually assault any of them. Also, I do believe, we're talking about targeted murders. The police have said they believe this is targeted, that either one of the girls was targeted, 2 of the girls were targeted, or all of the girls were targeted, and Ethan was just collateral damage. That is the general belief. So the focus of these murders was either one woman and everybody was collateral damage, or more than one and the others were collateral damage, or the person really just wanted to kill women. Okay, but no sexual assaults. Always sexual assaults. Always. All right. So now let me talk a little bit about the careers of these 2 guys and any kind of similarity to the Idaho student murders. All right. Let's go to Ted Bundy. All right. Ted Bundy. He killed, a couple dozen women. He wasn't into breaking into homes and killing people. He was actually a person who liked to use ruses. He would like to lure women. Most of the women he killed, he did lure by all kinds of different methods. Sometimes he would pretend he had a broken arm and a cast, and he'd say, "Can you come to me? Help me take something to my car, or can you come to my car and help me get this boat off?" One time he did that at a lake. He tried to lure them, and once they got near his car, then of course he grabbed them and took them away to some place where he then raped them, tortured them, killed them. Then he left the bodies where they couldn't be found. And then he'd come back sometimes and amuse himself further with the bodies. But what he didn't do was break into houses or apartments. That wasn't his thing at all. So what you say, well, yeah, but he broke into a sorority, right? He did. But let me tell you how this all occurred. He committed all these crimes in the West Coast, most of his serial homicides in the West Coast. And then he got caught and he escaped from jail. And he was on the run, and he managed to get from the West Coast down to Florida. And when he got to Florida, he claims he was going to try to just get a normal job because he didn't think he was going to get caught. Don't believe that. He couldn't get a job, and he was stealing. He was stealing stuff to survive. And during that period of time, he went on a spree. And remember the word spree, because this is very important. He went on a spree. And he didn't actually break into the sorority. He went in through the back because there was a faulty lock. So he just walked in. I don't know if he knew it was a sorority. I don't know if he knew there were 4 girls there. I don't know what he knew. But he went in. He attacked 4 girls. He killed 2 of them, and the other 2 survived, they believe, because somebody drove by and lights flashed in the window, and he fled. All this happened in 15 minutes. He did not use a knife on them. He wasn't using a K-bar knife, stabbing them. He was bludgeoning and strangling. That was his sorority attacks. Then after that, he went down the road and he went into another woman's house. He attacked her. She also survived, although she was very injured. She survived. Then he got in his car and somebody's car. And then he drove that car about 150 miles away, and he abducted a 12-year-old girl, and he went back to his usual thing. He abducted her. He sexually assaulted her, and he killed her. Very different kind of crime than this. So the only reason he went to a sorority was because he was on a spree. Three crimes in a row of 3 different women. The women at the sorority house, then the woman down the street, then the little girl. He was on a spree because he knew he was going to get caught. So he was moving things faster because what the heck? He knew he was going down anyway. So he was kind of his mind was in overdrive at that point. He was willing to take chances that he wouldn't have taken in the past because he knew it was pretty much close to the end of his criminal life. So that's why he went into that particular location, the sorority location, and attacked the women. Okay, but still sexual homicide. When he went into a house with women. Okay, there were no males in any of his crimes that were collateral damage. Didn't happen for him. So that is not the same as this either. So he didn't use knives. That wasn't his style. He didn't have collateral damage as males, and he always sexually assaulted. Not at all like the Idaho Student Murders. Okay, now let's go to Danny Rolling. Danny Rolling is a little bit closer. If you're going to pick somebody who his crimes were a little bit more like this. Okay, let me explain Danny Rolling. Danny Rolling was he was a mess his whole entire life. He's just basically a piece of crap. Never succeeded in anything, failed out of the army. Yeah, he did things there too that weren't too good. And then he was a thief and a robber. He robbed a lot of places. He robbed stores and get caught all the time. He was pretty terrible at what he did. So he went to prison a number of times, and he escaped a number of times too. So he was better at escaping than he was at preventing getting caught. So he went across the country. He went on these things across the country, robbing and robbing and robbing. And then he got into raping as well. When he returned to his hometown of Shreveport, Louisiana, he had a moment in time there where he guess he got this job and he got fired. So he was in a bad mood. So he went down the road and he broke into a house and he attacked 3 people there. And it was a woman, her father, and her son. He did sexually assault the woman and murder her. And the father and the son were collateral damage. He did use a knife. That's his thing. He did use a K-bar knife. So that was his first sexual homicide that we know of. You never know if there's more. He never got linked to them. I believe he had raped before, but not committed a sexual homicide. And this one, he had collateral damage. But he was already on the run from the police. He had escaped. So he knew the police were after him too. Then he went from there. He ran to Gainesville, Florida, and was camping out up in Gainesville, Florida. When he started committing robberies in Gainesville, Florida too, because he didn't have a job. He had to make money somehow. So his was robbery. So he was robbing places. And at that point in time, he went on a spree and he committed 3 different crimes. 3. The first crime, he watched these girls, and he went into their apartment, and he sexually assaulted. He killed both the girls, and one girl was the one he focused on with the sexual assault, but he killed those 2 girls. So sexual crime, sexual homicide. The second one, He went and sexually assaulted and killed one girl in her apartment. And now by that time, Gainesville was like freaking out. It's like, oh my God, there's a serial killer. And they were right. There was a serial killer because there have been 2 sexual homicides, 2 different cases, 2 different locations, very close by, mind you. Then he went for a 3rd one. And he went in there, and in that particular case, there was a woman there who had a roommate who was a male. The male was asleep. He attacked the male while he was asleep, and the male did wake up, and there was a bit of a struggle, and he killed the male. And the girl heard something going on. She came out, and then she tried to run and close herself into a bedroom, and she failed. And she looked at Danny Rolling and said, "You're that guy, aren't you?" And he said, "Yes, I am." And he then sexually assaulted her, and he murdered her. And it was pretty horrific. And then, thank God, he was caught at that point. So there were 3 different crimes he committed in Gainesville, 3 different sexual homicides at 3 different locations. Yes, he broke into all the houses and used a knife. So, but we're seeing a spree here and a spree here by 2 desperate men on the run. In this case, in the Idaho case, we don't have any evidence that anybody's on the run committing spree killings. Again, both these guys, sexual homicides. Here, no sexual homicide. Yes, he did use a K-bar knife, which could have been the kind of knife used here. It's possible, but the similarity is very, very, very tiny. So, I mean, if you look across the country at all the crimes that are committed, I'm going to guarantee you can find another crime with more than one person murdered in a house, more people murdered with knives. You're going to find that across the country. There's only so many ways to kill people. In general, it's stab them with a knife, strangle them, bludgeon them, or shoot them. Once in a while you poison them. But generally speaking, in violent crimes, you have just a few methodologies. If you try to link crimes together, like serial homicides, one of the problems when you have an attempt to, like what the FBI has, where you put all the different kind. Theoretically, the police department is supposed to put a crime that they have into the database and hope that it matches another crime in the database. Well, one of the problems is if you put in a woman was raped and strangled, you're going to get lights all across the United States. And the same if you put in woman raped and stabbed, flashing lights all across the United States. And then, so it's hard to link everything together because there's only so many ways to kill. So you have more than one serial killer out there committing very similar crimes. You also sometimes have serial killers out there who change their method of operation, their MO, their modus operandi. One time they stab and the next time they strangle. Why is that? Well, maybe the first time they stabbed the person, there was too much blood and they realized this was not good. So the next time they strangled because it would leave less evidence. Or maybe the next time they went to kill somebody, they forgot their knife. Believe me, that happens. Strange stuff. So you try to link things together by, these look exactly the same. And it turns out the guy changed his MO like 3 or 4 times, but those were all connected. So you have to be very careful about trying to link crimes or saying crimes are similar when they're not necessarily that similar. This was not, as far as I know, sexual homicide. These were sexual homicides. I don't see, these were sprees, and I don't see this as a spree. I see this most likely as a targeted crime. I don't see any of theirs as targeted. They just picked people that were available to kill. They wanted to rape and murder. They found places where they could rape and murder. That's it. They didn't target particularly one woman or 2 women. They didn't. I don't even think they necessarily targeted a specific group of women, which in this case I believe is either there was a rage killing against either one of these women, 2 of these women, or women in general. But I do not see this as a sexual homicide of any sort. So not like these 2 guys. So let's not confuse all that. We still don't know enough about what actually happened at the scene. We don't know, who was killed first and who was killed second, who was targeted. We don't know what kind of what the weapon was that was used. We don't know the motive. So let's just calm down on that. Let the police continue their investigation, figure out what they need to figure out. Hopefully they can eventually focus in on somebody that they believe committed the crimes. But this one is not like these 2. It's just not. I mean, yeah. So stop saying Ted Bundy and Danny Rolling. Okay. different kinds of crimes. So anyway, that's it. I hope you got something out of this. If you haven't been to the channel before, please do subscribe to the channel. Please do like the video. Please do share on your true crime sites. And I will see you next time there's something worthwhile saying. Bye-bye.